Alright guys, this morning I am going to show you guys how I trim up my hair. I'm not going to mess with the top because I kind of like how it looks, but the sides are getting to be all over my ears. Everything's starting to stick out just a little bit funny. So I'm going to show you how I trim that up. Once again, it's going to be a video reflecting in the mirror because I don't have any kind of fancy stands or anything. Just doing this off of my phone with a little stand. So I apologize for picture quality. There's not going to be a lot of close-up shots or anything because I'll be cutting my own hair. But hopefully you guys get the general idea, and I'll try to talk you through what I'm actually doing. Thanks for joining. Enjoy. Alright, so first off, just to let you know what's in my kit, I use the Wahl wireless rechargeable hair clippers. I got a 20-piece kit, I think, from Walmart. It came with scissors, your cape, which I never use, hair clips to pull longer hair back out of the way, and it came with a smaller trimmer just for some more details. So what I'm going to do today is just trim up the sides. Now typically I use this little pink guy, which is 3 16 inches, but today I'm actually going to start off with a 1/4 inch glide up here and just kind of see how I like it as it's getting a little bit longer for the summer. If you're not going to cut all of your hair, so like I'm leaving the top up there, you don't want to go all the way up, but you also want to know where you're going. I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of know where my line is, and you eventually start to get a feel for it on the side of your head. You'll know how far up you need to cut just based on where you're going to style your hair at. But wetting down the part that you're not going to cut, if you're going to leave the top in place, is never a terrible plan. You can kind of just move it all up and out of the way to give yourself a little bit more visibility. So with that being said, turn it on and start going. I do recommend, hair kind of gets a little bit everywhere, so make sure you've got a dustpan to sweep things up and pull up any rugs that you might have so that way you don't have to come back and vacuum. Makes the cleanup go a lot faster. And then whatever you're wearing, just realize you're going to throw that right in the laundry. And then I typically shower as soon as my hair's cut because the little hairs are everywhere and it's just easier to just wash it all off. And then I also trim up my hair about every 3 weeks-ish. Every 3 to 5 weeks. I do a little trim up where I'll kind of redesign the whole entire thing. Saves me a heck of a lot of money. I've been cutting my hair for about 9 years. This just became a cost-effective option, and it means that I can style my hair and mess with it on a more regular basis if I want to change things up. So, starting out with the number 2, which is a 1/4 inch, we're going to go from there. So what you'll see is I don't want to go all the way up here because I don't want to get that weird egg shape. This is where my head starts to curve in. I want to keep it pretty much on the flat side of my hair. Now the back of your head is where it gets a little tricky because my swirly spot is there, and so it takes a lot of skill. I get my hair cut professionally about once a year, and I talk to the lady who cuts my hair, and she gives me some different tips. So my swirly spot's been like my biggest issue, but I have to cut up a little bit higher than I normally would for the rest of the head to help that hair stay flat. That's going to be something that you're just going to have to work with. Get a friend to help, guide you around. Maybe have somebody help you trim the back of your head for a while. But in general, even on the back of my head, I'm going up to where right before it starts to curve. And you'll get a feel for that. I do a lot of using one hand to kind of figure out where I'm going. The other thing that I do typically is when I'm going up, I try to keep one hand here so I know where I stopped. And then I can kind of move over and still overlap those spaces. Alright, so when I do that, that's all one length right now. Looks decent. You could honestly, if you like it, you can go with that. Just trim up this part a little bit more. And then you want to take some clippers and go around your ears so you get those longer pieces of hair, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm actually going to go a little bit shorter, but I'm going to try to fade it, which I will talk you guys through. First thing I like to do, though, because I do like to get a little bit more of a line, the right side of my head doesn't line up very well. But I do my best, and then the left side of my head, you can kind of see like the hair just lays really well as a flat line here, so that's a good guard for me. And then I just try to make sure that on the right side, it's just about even. Sometimes it's a little bit higher, but it looks more natural that way, and you always want to go with what looks natural and with what's going to lay down. On your absolute worst, I just had a roll out of bed and go day. you want your hair to look that well, which is the other reason to do it while it's messy, because now I can see on a terrible day, if I were to just throw some gel in there and go, this is what my hair would look like on a bedhead day, which still looks really good, pretty professional. You're still going to look pretty thrown together. And it's always good to look good when you go out in public, of course. So to line it up, I'm just going to go straight across here. Get any additional tiny hairs. It's not going to be perfect, but that's what hair product is for, because then anything else can kind of go up in here. But for the most part, that looks pretty darn straight. I don't have to worry about it too much. I still do the line on this side. For any lingering hair, I just don't have to do as much. Now I can already tell on the back of my head, there's a little bit sticking up here. So be really, really careful and go ahead and attack at that. I'm not even putting it against my head, just kind of running it up against there. Get it just a little bit shorter. If you are a first time clipper, maybe don't try to braid that on your own. It's kind of up to your own comfort. Like I said, I've been doing it for a while, so I'm also really okay if I mess up my own hair and just have to let it grow out. Now when you're fading your hair, so fading is when you get shorter and shorter towards the bottom, but you can't tell where one part begins and the other part ends. Easy way to do a fade is you get your different pieces. So I've got the 2, which is a 1/4 inch, I've got 3/16, I've got 1/8, and then I've got 1/16. The 1/16, I don't want to do a whole heck of a lot because I don't like looking like I'm bald. But what I'm going to do is skip down to the 1/8. So I've got 4 pieces here. I just did piece 1. I'm going to do piece 3. Pop that on there. And what you're going to do is basically shave up only up to half of your head. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what you want to do is go back to piece number 2. So go back to the middle piece. But what you're going to do is basically go over the gap that you left with this piece. And you just want to go over roughly with it. Obviously, you don't want to go all the way up because you still want to keep that longer length on the top. But you can go all the way down on the bottom. It's just going to really help blend it all together. And then, like I said, I don't like to have my hair too short. But this last little piece, I'm going to pop it on. And then I'm going to go just barely across the bottom. So I'm just barely moving it. Just hardly want to tap it at all. I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction because I've got some hairs that stick straight up. This will help pull those down and allow me to trim those up too. If you've got an additional mirror that you can stick behind you, that's really helpful. Or having a side mirror like this is kind of helpful too because you can get a little bit of the reflections. It's not perfect, but it gives you a general idea. It'll also help you see behind your ear a little bit. But I'm going to show you guys a different way to clip up behind your ear. And that's in general how to do a fade. I messed up here just a little bit. Cut up a little bit too high. It didn't fade in as well, but you can't really tell. And in about 2-3 days, it's going to be completely blended in. But this side looks pretty good, all put together. So now what I'm going to do is go back through, just check for small hairs. I'm still going to leave this piece on, and I'm going to trim up the little hair right here by my ears. Really small strokes. You don't want to go too far because you don't want to accidentally cut something else that you didn't mean to. And then once again, go behind my ears, barely moving it, and just kind of pushing up and out to just try to grab some of those tiny hairs right next to your ear. You don't want to run it completely against your head again because you don't want to end up with something that's too short. And you always want to try to go all the way down. So that is how you cut and fade your hair. To get that straight line across the back of your head, put your hand into a right angle here. This is going to be your straight line to cut across the back of your head. And I'm going to try to turn so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I push it down to about where I want the hair on my neck to be. And just take it. Get that hair out. Now if you got hair that goes down longer on one side of your neck, you should be able to physically, see that. Get anything else that you might have growing there. But outside of that, that's how I cut my hair, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you learned something. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, of course, subscribe and go ahead and post comments and questions down below. And always share my videos to anybody else in the trans community, in the NB community, or for anybody else who just wants to be able to cut their own hair. I know plenty of girls with pixie cuts. This is going to save you a whole heck of a lot of money because of the gender tax. You know you pay more for your haircut than your boyfriend does. Have a good day, guys.